You are listening to WMHW HD1 and HD2 Mount Pleasant Mountain 91.5, a service of Central Michigan University's School of Broadcast and Cinematic Arts. Hello, folks, and welcome into Episode 10. We're at double digits already. Episode 10 of Card Guys. I'm Anthony Schulte, joined today by Ryan Donnelly and a special guest, Mr. Michael Rosenkranz. Welcome to the show, my friend. At 12:05, we preview the NBA in-season tournament coming up in a couple days. 12:10, stay tuned for a crazy week in Detroit sports we just endeavored. 12:20, we will go over the NFL trade deadline. And at 12:30, we got our weekly NFL picks. Week 9 edition, a fan favorite. Ryan, Michael, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great, Anthony. I'm excited for the show today.
Yes, sir. Welcome, welcome.
Hope your Wednesday's doing well. Michael, welcome to the show. We got lots to talk about. Let's get into it. It's a fun show. Double digits. Woohoo! Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. November 1st, the unofficial start to Christmas over here at Card Guys. Well, to get us started, NBA is really starting to annoy me. Here's the Anthony Schulte rant of the day. The NBA is really starting to annoy me because of every single player, this whole resting thing. It all started, a couple years ago with these superstar players taking rest days, on back-to-backs. Load management, if that's a trigger word for anybody. Load management. Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, Joel Embiid are just a few names that have been really prominent in this whole load management rest situation. Well, over the summer, the NBA released some new rules, basically saying, you have to have one superstar player. If you have a superstar player on a nationally televised game, they have to play. But there is a way for teams to abuse that and sneak past it, if you will. And that's what we're seeing here today. Now, let's start with the Miami Heat. They have two superstars, basically in the NBA's eyes, and Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. You might be able to consider Tyler Hero in that as well. And Jimmy Butler's return to Minnesota, that was a hot ticket in Minnesota because Jimmy Butler used to play in Minnesota. His tenure there, it ended in hot water during that practice where he basically 1v1'd everybody and absolutely balled on them. And then he got traded to the 76ers. Jimmy Butler sits out of that game due to rest. It is Game 3 of the NBA season, and Jimmy Butler is sitting out for rest. I don't understand. Why are you sitting out because of rest? That's what we're trying to eliminate, but here we are, Jimmy Butler. Another thing, the Phoenix Suns. I understand if you don't feel comfortable enough to play at the best of your abilities. I understand that. But if you're playing in the preseason, and then all of a sudden, once the regular season starts, my back is starting to have a little bit of tightness, a little soreness to my back, Bradley Beal. And now all of a sudden, you have no timetable to return. Yet you were just hooping in the preseason. Excuse me, what? Devin Booker played the first game of the season, looked fine. Now all of a sudden, he has an ankle injury that's sidelining him with no timetable to return, per head coach Frank Vogel. It's getting to a point where it's like, okay, Joel Embiid almost missed the third game of the season, their home opener, due to soreness. I counter that with, yes, of course, you need to make sure you're playing healthy. You don't want to injure anything more than already is. I get that. But Zach LaVine right now for the past week has had lower back tightness. And he played through that injury, and he is still playing through that injury, and he dropped 51 of them fangs on the Pistons. So I look at that as, if you're good enough to be able to goof around on the bench and practice and be able to go through a shoot around, you're playing. At least if I'm the coach. But that's enough for the Anthony Schulte rant of the day. I just had to go off a little bit because I was watching that Phoenix Suns game last night and watching Kevin Durant in the Island of Misfit Toys go up against Victor Wembanyama wasn't as fun as the big three against Wembanyama would have been. But nonetheless, Ryan Donnelly, Michael Rosenkranz, Anthony Schulte with you here today. This is a fine Wednesday afternoon, whether you're listening to us live or on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in with us. We have an in-season tournament later this week, the NBA in-season tournament, to kind of go over the specifics of the in-season tournament, how it works. Basically, November 3rd is the start, culminating with an NBA championship in the brand new Las Vegas Sphere December 9th. It's about a month-long affair, and every Tuesday and Friday there will be tournament games, and you play within your group play until you get to the latter ends of the tournament. To go over the groups real quickly, the West Group A are the Grizzlies, the Suns, the Lakers, the Jazz, and the Trailblazers. That'll be a fun group. West Group B includes the Denver Nuggets, the New Look Clippers, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Houston Rockets. West Group C includes the Sacramento Kings, Golden State Warriors, Minnesota Timberwolves, Oklahoma City Thunder, and San Antonio Spurs. Over on the east side of the bracket, East Group A includes the 76ers, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Atlanta Hawks, the Indiana Pacers, and your Detroit Pistons. In East Group B, you have the Milwaukee Bucks, the New York Knicks, Miami Heat, Washington Wizards, and Charlotte Hornets. And in East Group C, the Boston Celtics, Brooklyn Nets, Toronto Raptors, Chicago Bulls, and Orlando Magic. Gentlemen, this is going to be a fun in-season tournament. Tournament days on Tuesdays and Fridays. How do you guys feel about this tournament? Because me personally, I like it because it's bringing more competition to the regular season.
I like it. At first, I didn't really like it. I don't like when like major sports teams add something new. It's just I never really grew up with this. I never really had a connection with this, and then they threw this tournament at us, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna be fun, but nonetheless, like, oh well. But the more I think about it, the more I'm gonna enjoy this. My predictions, though. I think in East Group, I feel like out of West A, I have Phoenix winning.
Well, that's if they're healthy.
If they're healthy, they're going to win. West Group B, I'd say the Clippers, but they're too old. They're so old. But they're like the next retirement home. Next to the Warriors. Give me the Nuggets in West Group B. West C, that's my favorite group play in this whole tournament.
That's going to be a fun one.
That's going to be so... Kings, you got the best offense in probably NBA history. You got the Warriors. You got the Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Cat, Rudy Gobert. Thunder, super young team, very fiery. And then the Spurs, Shea and Chet, Jalen Williams, Dort. And then you got the Spurs, who has Wemby. But in West Group C, it's either the Kings. It's going to be either the Kings or the Thunder, I feel like.
Can I give a hot take?
What's up?
I think the Thunder are going to obliterate West Group C.
I could see that.
I think they are. I think they're going to win every single game there.
The Kings' offense got better this offseason, and I feel like because of that, they're going to win that pool. And the East Group A, I want to say the Pistons. It's a hot take. It's either the Pistons. This is a terrible division. The more I think, about it.
Once you look at it and you look at the Sixers going through all that drama.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you were to look at all the East groups, that is the best one for the Pistons to be in.
That it seriously is. Now that Harden is gone, thank goodness, from the 76ers, I might have to give it to either Cleveland or Detroit. But I think my dark horse in just this East group play is the Pacers.
Yes.
Bruce Brown, Obi Toppin, Mathurin, Halliburton, like all these guys, great chemistry, great coach.
Buddy Hield.
Like, they're my dark horse for this tournament. Moving on to East Group B, Milwaukee. East Group C, Boston. That's who I feel like will win, and I'm excited for this.
Yeah, this NBA in-season tournament should be a lot of fun. In my mind, this is going to give teams the opportunity, as you put, Anthony, to allow themselves to be a little more competitive at the same time, just getting more looks throughout the season against these big contender teams. Yep. And you'll be able to strategize, especially early, for future matchups with these teams.
Yeah, the in-season tournament will be fun. All these games on Tuesdays and Fridays count towards the regular season stats, records, history books. Everything counts until the final four, basically. And then that's where it's going to be played in Las Vegas. And that won't count towards regular season or regular season stats. So it'll be its own kind of thing, like the play-in tournament. Next on the docket today, Detroit sports. What a week it's been. We're only at Wednesday, folks. And the Detroit sports market right now is going crazy. You got the Lions coming off a Monday night victory against the Raiders. Had to do it. I love doing it. The Lions basically dismantled the Raiders in their organization, firing head coach, offensive coordinator, and GM.
And benching Jimmy
Garoppolo. What is going on in Las Vegas? The world may never know, but just know the Lions did it to them. The Red Wings on fire to start the season, 6-3-1. A nice little comeback against the Islanders for the Red Wings, and the Pistons starting 2-2. First 3 games promising. The fourth game of the season against the Thunder on the Sports Equinox on Monday. Looking a little bit rough for the Pistons, but they look to bounce back tonight against the Trailblazers. I want to know your guys' thoughts on the trade deadline for the Lions and the one move they made and maybe some moves they didn't make.
They should have gone for Chase Young, 1,000%.
Obviously.
I mean, the Niners gave up, what, a third-rounder?
Third-rounder.
We have so many third-round picks. Like, the third round won't hurt, especially with this team. We should have gotten Chase Young. That kind of made me a little upset.
Well, you also don't want to ruin the chemistry that this team has, because you add somebody so dynamic like that, now you've got to kind of build everything around that player, and you have to feature your defense around that Chase Young type player. Well, it might hinder some chemistry things.
Well, yeah, but to think about it, Chase Young's 24. Yeah. He's young. The Lions should have went after him in the 2020 draft, but instead we got Jeff Okudah. But that made me so mad. But he's young. He's great. The only thing why I feel like we didn't go after him is because he's injury prone a lot. And
you said that was the 2020 draft. We drafted Okudah, right?
We drafted Okudah. Chase Young was the pick before Okudah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the pick before Okudah. We should have traded up and got him for him. That's
so
what Brad Holmes would have done.
The Detroit sports draft in 2020 includes Killian Hayes and Jeff Okudah.
That year was
Yikes.
Not only sad for the world, but sad for Detroit sports. But, yeah, you're right. He would have messed up the chemistry a little bit, but it'd be nice to have him.
Right, exactly.
But now the Niners' the defense just got better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be fair, they've had 3 straight weeks where they lost basically, and then getting Chase Young is that bounce back moment. Now that defense is great, but talking about the Lions now with DPJ, Michigan fan here. Hello,
big trade for Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Big trade. Our wide receiver room is our second most needed position to fix, and we fixed it. Donovan Peoples-Jones has had a great year so far this year, and that core is pretty good with Amon-Ra, Reynolds, and Donovan.
Yeah,
and also alongside Khalif Raymond. I like it. I really do like it. He's been great for Cleveland, and now with Goff, he's going to be phenomenal. He's going to be a replacement for DJ Chark.
Yeah, I think for the Lions, in my mind, how I viewed this was the DPJ trade. Browns received a 6th-round pick, I thought it was, for DPJ.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, I was thinking that this is a move that the Lions made to point out what Ryan said, add more depth to the wide receiver room.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, I also think that Brad Holmes is confident where his defense is at right now by not getting Chase Young. Now, I know some fans might be upset about that for sure with not getting Chase Young, but I think in my mind, Brad Holmes is confident in his mind of where his defense might be, and that was his reasoning to not go with Chase Young. But it's kind of a tough situation to look at defensively for the Lions as to why or why not did you buy a defender at the trade deadline, but we will see what happens.
Well, when you look at, these fans are all like, oh, Brad Holmes doesn't know what he's doing. They don't know what they're doing. These guys, they only cost a 3rd-round pick. They only cost a 6th-round pick. Like, these are late-round picks, these second-day picks that you're getting for these star players. And I kind of want to say this to those people out there that are acting like the woe is me type crowd. If Brad Holmes didn't know what he was doing, how did he turn a dead-end team 2 years ago into a playoff contender? He turned this defense around in one summer, and now we look like a good defense. I'll give him a good defense compared to last year when you were a bad defense.
No, absolutely. I mean, Lions, I think, ranked, dead last year in defense?
Almost like right at the bottom of the list.
Yeah, so I mean, to be able to make that quick turnaround is, I definitely say, well worthwhile in the end. And I'm excited for this Lions team. I mean, they're ahead of the NFC North right now. Vikings are the closest contenders at 4-4, but with Kirk Cousins out, that's going to have a major hole that needs to be filled with the newly added Josh Dobbs to the Vikings.
Yeah. So let's move on to the Red Wings, because I'm really enjoying this Red Wings team right now. How about them Wings? Monday night during the Sports Equinox, one of the victorious Detroit teams that night coming back and defeating the Islanders in overtime. The Islanders press calling what did you say the New York Times called it?
It was a dismal overtime loss per the New York Times.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at it from an Islanders perspective, yes, because they had this thing basically wrapped up, and then Detroit came back in the latter ends to send it to overtime and then to win in overtime. Kind of going over some general Red Wings stats. Your point leader is Dylan Larkin at 15 already through, 10 games already this season, 10, 11 games?
That's ridiculous.
Alex DeBrincat at 9 goals, almost a goal a game from DeBrincat. Larkin's at 11 assists, but also one thing I want to point out is Larkin's penalty minutes at 13. He is the ultimate team captain. When you're looking at a hockey team, you want your captain, defending your players. You want your captain going after, like if there's a fight, if there's a bad penalty, you want your captain going in right in the thick of it, defending your players and being that captain, being that leader. And I think that really goes to show Larkin is that type of player, that not only physical player, but a lot of his penalty minutes do come from defending his teammates in fights and after nasty penalties. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing from this team, these teams' pickups. What do you guys think about this Red Wings team? Because I am loving it right now.
I love it. I was a little worried on Monday against the Islanders, and then, like you said, you never give up on a sports team. You never leave early, and that was proof.
Right.
They
That's
scored
my rule of the
3
game.
goals, 2 or 3 goals. I don't remember in the last minute, and then Lucas Raymond won it in overtime. But that was a great game for the Red Wings. Do they play tonight?
The Red Wings play tomorrow night. It is a Red Wings and Pistons doubleheader. I think it's a doubleheader tomorrow. Both Bally channels will have both the games for the Pistons on a back-to-back and the Red Wings.
No matter what.
I will be watching both games as well.
Absolutely.
I love DeBrincat. Again, I've been high on him since he was with the Senators. I love the guys that we got: Gauchius Fear, Sprong, Comfer, Joe
Sprong
Veleno.
has been very, very
Joe
impressive.
Veleno, who scored the only goal for the Red Wings against the Bruins. He's looked great. Willie, I love Willie Husso. I know a lot of y'all Red Wings fans aren't really sold on Willie Husso. I like him. Our goalies are pretty weak. I know we tried to just trade for them.
I mean, Husso is decent, but he's not the upper echelon of goalie that I think the Red Wings are used to.
I feel like we've lost these last few games because we played against really hard goalies, especially with the Islanders and the Bruins and
the Jets.
The Jets game. Anthony and I were at that game, and
we were.
One of the best goalies in the league was in the net, and he was just unbelievable. And I got to give him credit for that. I'll give him 2 claps. But it's a hard stretch of goalies, and with this team like scoring really high every game, just the coaches were just pushing on these netminders like, hey, don't let them score. And they listened. And obviously the Islanders didn't, but the Bruins and the Jets did. And, the Red Wings need to find more creative ways to score that puck. But nonetheless, they've been great, and I love it.
I think Sprong's been a very good pick, a very even 3 goals, 4 assists, but also Joe Veleno, those 5 goals are really popping out on the stat sheet for me right now. He is second on the team in goals, only behind Alex DeBrincat. So I think adding just that goal power, I think that's one thing last year that the Red Wings really needed more of, was putting the puck in the back of the net. And, I mean, we addressed that. Steve Yzerman addressed that, and it's really showing off. I mean, you've got a solid record going in after 10 games, and, I mean, there's a lot to be excited about if you're a Red Wings fan.
Absolutely. I love this Red Wings team, the addition of Alex DeBrincat in the offseason from Ottawa. And I also just love the fact, I mean, he's a hometown kid.
Oh, yeah.
from Farmington Hills, Michigan. Very special for him to come back home to Detroit to play for the Red Wings. And I love what this team is doing so far. They have another tough matchup coming up against Florida. And as you mentioned, tough goaltender matchups. Sergei Bobrovsky for the Panthers. Yeah. That'll be another tough matchup. But I'm excited to see how the Red Wings can hopefully carry this momentum after the win.
We'll be watching that Red Wings game against the Panthers tomorrow night. We're going to move on to a little bit of NFL trade deadline. We kind of touched on the trade deadline a little bit with the Lions. Lions were presumably going to be very active in the trade deadline, only making that one trade for Donovan Peoples-Jones. But I'm going to kind of go through each trade, and we're going to react to each trade. So this is according to NFL.com, a trade deadline tracker. First trade they have listed here, Russell Douglas coming from the Packers, going to the Bills for a third-round pick. Buffalo also including a fifth-round pick in that one right there. Solid way to improve a hampered defense over there in Buffalo. The Lions, of course, traded a sixth-round pick for Donovan Peoples-Jones. We've touched on that. And then the big boy. I think this is the biggest one of the day.
Yes, I agree.
49ers, they trade for Chase Young, just a third-round draft pick. The Niners are scary. Don't let that 5-3 record fool you now. That is a scary team right there.
It absolutely is. I mean, how can you not love the 49ers with the likes of CMC, Debo, who I think is still injured right now.
Yeah, he's soon to return.
But you got to love the offense that CMC can provide, Debo can provide. Even Brandon Ayuk has been a standout in a lot of these games.
Oh, yeah. And then on defense, you got Nick Bosa, you've got Fred Warner. You've got so many stars all around. It's such an even team, well-built team. That 49ers team is going to be a squad to reckon with come postseason time. The Jaguars add Ezra Cleveland from the Vikings for a sixth-round pick. A very, very good trade right there.
I really liked that Ezra Cleveland move. He's big, 311 pounds. That guy is giant.
He's a big boy.
He's huge. That's perfect. He was the Vikings' best O-lineman, and I love that trade. The Jaguars' O-line is iffy, and Ezra Cleveland's going to help a lot. And especially if they want to compete in the AFC, Ezra Cleveland's going to help a lot, especially with that run game.
The Vikings make a much-needed trade at the quarterback position, trading for Joshua Dobbs, giving up a seventh-round pick, or getting a seventh-round pick also in exchange for a sixth-round pick. So moving back around, but also gaining a veteran quarterback to kind of lead that quarterback room after Kirk Cousins goes down with a Achilles tear. So big trade right there for the Vikings. The Bears make a big boy deal, Montez Sweat, for a second-round draft pick. I mean, that's one of the best returns of the day for these star players as a second-round pick. Still a day one pick right there. Falcons trade for defender Grady Jarrett, or after Grady Jarrett's injury, they get Kentavious Street in a seventh-round pick from the Eagles in exchange for a sixth-round draft pick. The Seahawks, they receive Leonard Williams from the Giants for a couple of picks, second and fifth rounders. And the Eagles add Kevin Byard for Terrell Edmonds and a couple picks as well. Those are really the big trades of yesterday. Of course, there's more trades that happened before the deadline. We've already kind of gone over those. Those are kind of old news, but what a trade deadline. I want to know your guys' favorite trades of the deadline.
My favorite trade of the deadline was, Montez Sweat. He's on the butt end of a contract. He's 30. If the Bears want to build young, then I don't know why they traded for it. I was very confused. I'm very confused with Ryan Poles right now. It's a very confusing trade. Is he good? Absolutely. He's old, and I see the Bears really want to just build young.
I think it was kind of a desperation move, just to try and build a little bit of relevance around their brand.
Nobody's really talking about the Rasul Douglas trade. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
That Green Bay defense, which is fantastic. You had Quay Walker, Rasul Douglas, Jair Alexander, Rashawn Gary. You had all these guys, and then you traded one of your key pieces to a defense that really needs it, I feel like. Especially, I forgot who they lost. It was a pretty big injury. But
Matt Milano.
What's that? Matt Milano. I'm tired, y'all. But if you lose Matt Milano, you get Rasul Douglas. That's a great pickup.
Mm-hmm.
The Bills now are going to be competing for that AFC East spot.
Mm-hmm.
And the DPJ trade, I've talked about it before earlier in the show, but I like it. I love it. I want some more of it.
Nice.
Donovan Peoples-Jones, great wide receiver. He's going to be a great wide receiver 3.
Yeah, I think going off the Montez Sweat trade, and the Bears are in a position where they desperately need pretty much anything at this point. The Bears, from what I understand, rank, I think, dead last in sacks right now. So I think just adding you're adding a good edge like Montez Sweat is going to bolster your defensive line. If it's not by a huge amount, at least it's some amount for the Bears to try and get going again, because they need pretty much everything that they can get at this point.
I think my favorite trade's got to be the Ezra Cleveland trade, because I like this Jacksonville team a lot. They're sitting at 6-2 right now. They're looking at like one of the contenders in the AFC with the way they're playing. And I think giving Trevor Lawrence that extra protection, one thing we've seen is Trevor Lawrence is getting hit a lot every single game. And especially with this injury, you want to keep injury that he's nursing, his knee injury, you want to keep him as protected as possible. And adding a guy like Ezra Cleveland, as Ryan mentioned, over 300-pound, big boy, guarding your quarterback, I think he's going to play the blind spot as well for Trevor Lawrence. That is something where I look at that as, for a 6th-round pick, you're making a winning move. That is one of the best trades. I think one of the most underrated trades that people are kind of sweeping under the rug. Oh, it's just Ezra Cleveland. No, that is a key piece to that offensive line now that really bolsters what was one of the weak spots in the Jacksonville Jaguars' run to the playoffs, and possibly, I mean, we're living in a world right now where the Jaguars and the Lions are a realistic Super Bowl matchup if the stars align. Which 2 years ago, you tell me that, I laugh in your face and say, you don't know ball. Nowadays, I'm like, I could see it happening. If the stars align, if they both get hot at the right time at the end of the season and steamroll through the playoffs, which I think is possible for both teams, who knows? Because, you know, the Lions, depending on where they land in the playoff matchup, they might only have to play one of the Eagles and the 49ers. Now, there's a realistic world where you've got to play the Eagles and 49ers to get to the Super Bowl, but there's also a world where they will meet before you meet one of them in the championship game. They could meet in the divisional themselves. The Lions would play somebody like a wild card per chance, the winner of a wild card game, instead of San Francisco or Philly, and then that leads to the championship game where you only got to play one of them. And I think only playing one of them is a much more realistic way for the Lions to make it to the Super Bowl. But I think the same thing could happen to the Jaguars. You know, depending on the Jaguars seed, they could avoid some of those top-tier AFC teams like the Dolphins, like the Bills. So, I know I probably forgot a big AFC team right there, but a big trade in my opinion. Ezra Cleveland, underrated, not really covered so far by the media, but it was a big trade deadline. A lot of surprises. I mean, me, Ryan, and a friend of the show, Isaac Haffenden, we were all shopping at Goodwill and in Salvation Army's thrifting yesterday, and it's just news coming in. Chase Young, like I would literally shout out, Chase Young to the 49ers, Montez Sweat to the Bears, and we're like, what? Like, we weren't expecting those trades, so it's always fun when a trade deadline has those unexpected and surprising moves. But, ladies and gentlemen,
it's time for the best segment of the show.
The moment you've all been waiting for. It's time to make our Week 9 picks, ladies and gentlemen. Time to make our Week 9 picks.
Before we begin, Anthony, where are you in the world?
Oh, yeah, I am 36-22. I'm ranked 541,664 with a win percentage of 52.8. So
I am 33-25. I am ranked 555th, 555,421, and I have a 51.6% winning percentage.
I wonder if the number one guy has gotten every single matchup correct.
Can we check?
I don't think you can check.
I don't know, but
yeah, I don't think you can check that. But
I'll look after.
Week 9 kicks off tomorrow night with a matchup of the Tennessee Titans and Pittsburgh Steelers. Give me the Steelers. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going Titans.
Go Titans, baby.
I'm going Titans.
Will Levis had 4 touchdowns last week.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be on fire, and I hope he doesn't turn out to be like Mike White.
Right. I think Will Levis will do good. Who do you got, Michael?
Yeah, Pittsburgh Steelers and the Titans. Kind of taking a look at the Steelers and Mitch Trubisky last time. He came in and, Mitch Trubisky is just one of those quarterbacks that has still kind of struggled as of late.
Yeah.
I would say with Will Levis and the momentum he's been on, the Titans are looking good in that matchup. Give me the Titans.
There it is.
Before we
Titans.
move on, fire Matt Canada.
That's a daily Ryan Donnelly occurrence right there. Fire Matt Canada. And then I think we have the matchup of the week, Sunday morning over in Germany. The Dolphins and Chiefs. I'm going Dolphins. Give me the Fins, baby. Fins up.
Fins up, Dolphins.
I would say for this match, the Chiefs against the 49ers last week, if I remember correctly.
It was the Broncos last week.
Broncos, my apologies.
Oh, you're good.
It was against the Broncos. The Chiefs just look utterly confused against the Broncos. I mean, I couldn't believe it myself when I was watching it.
Right.
I think the Dolphins and their momentum and just the depth that they have is special. This Dolphins team is special, and if Casey wants a chance, they're really going to have to step their game up because this is a prime AFC team. Give me the Dolphins.
So all three of us are going against the spread each time, picking the underdog. Technically, I don't think it's underdog season
not an
yet
upset,
over there.
though.
It's not the upsets of the week. Vikings and Falcons is our next matchup, kicking off the 1 o'clock games. It's a tough one. I think Josh Dobbs is gonna put it together. I'm going with the Vikings just because I don't know about the Falcons right now. The Falcons are a confusing one. They're starting Heineke at quarterback over Desmond Ridder, so maybe that does something. But I think the Vikings, adding Josh Dobbs, I think that kind of keeps that receiver room alive with Hawkinson, with Jordan Addison, with KJ. Is it KJ? Osborne, there it is. I was thinking KJ Martin. My NBA brain is still on. KJ Osborne, I think he keeps them alive because, Josh Dobbs hasn't been bad this year. So give me the Vikings in that matchup.
This is a very confusing game. Josh Dobbs making his first start with the Vikings.
Possibly.
Jay Jett is out. Hawkinson and Addison, I don't know, and Osborne, I don't really know how they're going to do. But the Falcons, Heineke's been playing with the Falcons for a while. They got Pitts. They got London. I'm going to go with the Falcons on this one.
There it is.
It's not really. They're both 4-4. It's a confusing game.
It's a very even matchup.
I'm going to go Falcons, and they're at home too.
Yeah.
Both of these teams, their defenses for both of these teams, I think, are still a little shaky with both of these defenses. I'm loving the way that Bijan is playing so far. Josh Dobbs in the addition to the Vikings, it's going to be interesting, and especially good point with Taylor Heineke in for Desmond Ridder now, because Desmond Ridder, to be honest, was not doing too much for the Falcons, in my opinion.
He was not. This is probably the toughest one of the week.
This is a very even match.
It's the toughest
this is a
one
very
we've
even
had
matchup.
on the show, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I think that the Falcons will find a way to get around the Vikings defense and be able to. Taylor Heineke will be able to use his receivers effectively, especially Kyle Pitts. Give me the Falcons.
Wow, so I'm the only one going with the Vikings this week. Hey, when we come in on Monday and I'm right with that Vikings pick, don't look at me with two heads. All right. Cardinals, Browns. I'm going Browns on this one. I think that defense is just going to overwhelm that Cardinals, what's left of that Cardinals offense.
The Browns have been on fire. I love P.J. Walker. Give me the Browns. It's easy.
Yeah, Arizona has been struggling all season. Browns, and especially the performance by Myles Garrett that he had, especially leading that defense. And how about that blocked PAT? Did you guys see that?
I saw that, yep.
Incredibly smooth, and agree to all your points to take the Browns.
All right, so the Browns are the consensus over here at Card Guys. Rams, Packers. Give me the Rams. I don't even want to.
Rams.
I don't even want to spend time on
You
this
lost
one.
Rasul Douglas. Jordan Love sucks. Give me the Rams.
Rams.
Yeah, I'm going to go Rams here.
Rams, that's an easy one. Commanders and Patriots.
This is another toughie.
That's another tough one because the Commanders are slipping. But, wow, this is a tough one, too, despite the records.
This is a tough one.
The Commanders went to mid to mediocre overnight.
Don't overthink it, Commanders. I'm not overthinking it. I'm going Commanders.
I'm overthinking it a little bit. The Patriots, but they won last week. They won, or was it 2 weeks ago? I don't remember.
That was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
They had a bye last week, right?
No, because they're 2-6.
Whatever. This is tough. Mac Jones had his one good game this year, and Commanders again went to mediocre. Went from mid to mediocre overnight. The Patriots have been mediocre. This is going to be tough. I'm going to ride with America here. I'm going to go with the Commanders. Patriots are just going to tank for the rest of the year. Fire Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I think the Patriots get their bye after their game against the Colts, which is on November 12th, which is also going to take place overseas. So I think while the team is still trying to put their best foot forward, not on the bye week yet, it's going to be tough for the Patriots, especially if they're, it's been a tough year for the Patriots. This is another tough one. I'm overthinking this in my head.
That's why I said I'm not overthinking it because I know if I overthink it, I'll overanalyze it. And some of these matchups, you just got to go with your gut.
And go with my gut I shall. Give me the Commanders.
There it is,
All right,
Commanders.
there we go.
All right, Saints, Bears. Give me the Saints. Not Bears. I'm going with the Saints.
I thought you said you're going to take the Bears.
Nah, I'm not going to take the
Saints. I've looked has been up recently. The defense has been great. Shout out my boy Cesar Ruiz. Go Saints.
As much as I love your Mike Ditka tribute to Da Bears, I got to take
Bears.
the Saints here.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh, wow.
the Anthony Schulte upset of the week. Is this a little bit of
What, is this considered
pettiness?
an upset?
Yes, there's 15% of the people picked the Seahawks. It's under 20% of the people.
That's fair.
That's how you pick your upset of the week is under 20% of the people. 15% of America said that they want the Seahawks. Give me the Seahawks in an upset. I think they are the underdog by a significant amount here. But this is kind of out of pettiness because I just don't like the Ravens after they beat down on us. And give me the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are going to have just enough to push past. I think it'll be a good game, one of the better games of the week. But Seahawks, my upset of the week.
I'm going to throw a flag. The Seahawks beat the really hot Browns last week, and the Ravens have been hot. This is a very even matchup. And this is my opinion, though. You can have your upset, but this is a pretty even matchup. I'm going to go with the Ravens here, but, again, pretty even matchup.
It's even, but I think in the grand scheme of things, based off of this and based off the rest of the matchups of the week, it's the matchups are either even or so far-fetched that you don't want to make the decision. So I decided this would be my safest choice.
That's fair.
To count towards my Anthony Schulte upset of the week,
That's
which I'm at 3-1 right now.
That's fair, but, and just in my eyes, I wouldn't.
Fair enough.
Yeah, this matchup is definitely an even matchup. Ravens, of course, beat down the Lions, but again, we won't talk about that.
We don't talk about that.
That's a game now.
Seahawks have been riding on good momentum. They're 5-2 right now. I'm in another spot where I'm overthinking this one. I think I'm going to have to take the Ravens on this one. I think they've just been continuing to play very, very well, and they've been able to just ride this momentum very far throughout the season so far, so I'm going to take the Ravens.
Moving on to Tampa Bay and Houston, I think the Buccaneers are going to rewrite their ship, pun intended, and they're going to take the win right there over the Texans.
Give me the Texans on this one. This is C.J. Stroud's comeback game. Nico Collins, please. I have to start him this week because Amon-Ra's on a bye, but please, just get things done in Houston. I'm rooting for y'all.
Yeah, the big thing is about both of these teams. I feel like Baker and C.J. Stroud both of them are not scramblers in the pocket.
Yeah.
This is going to be this is another tough one in my opinion, but I think I'm going to have to go with the Buccaneers. I feel like there's more promise in their wide receiver room than the Texans right now at this point. Yes, you do have C.J. Stroud, and yes, you do have guys like Nico Collins, but I do think that the Buccaneers have a better room per se, and I think they're gonna have their comeback game against the Texans here. Give me the Bucs.
Don't forget about Tank Dell, who Doug talks about a lot on this show.
Yeah, Tank Dell, Card Guys legend. Colts and Panthers. Now, the Panthers would have been my upset of the week over the Colts, but I picked the Panthers last week, and I'm going to go with the Colts here this week.
I have a spoiler coming up. These 3 games I feel like could be my upset of the week.
Would you consider Dallas an upset over the Eagles?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it would be
based on America, that's
the same way I consider the Seahawks an upset.
These 3 were going to be my choices for upset of the week.
Again, this week's a tough week.
This is a hard week.
This is a very
fun.
hard week.
That's why I love the picks. Gosh, I'm torn.
Colts or Panthers?
I'm torn for time. The Panther. I'm overthinking this, y'all. The Colts. Yeah. Minshew Mania has not looked that great, but the Panthers won last week. I think Colts defense is going to step up. Give me the Colts.
Yeah, give me the Colts on this one.
Colts, that seems like an easier decision than Ryan's making it out to be. Now, Giants and Raiders.
This is a battle of
I'm going with the Giants, but I don't think the Giants are the upset here because the Raiders are an absolute dumpster fire right now. And I think the Giants are going to kind of look at that game last week as we should have won that, and they're going to come out. They're going to come out firing on all cylinders. Danny Dimes is back this week. Give me the Giants. I think they start to. I don't want to say turn their season around, but start flashing the flashlight in the cave, if you will.
This is like if there's a meme out there where there's 2 rolling trash cans and they're rolling down a hill during a snowstorm, this game is that meme. But this is going to be tough because the Raiders are terrible. They just fired their OC and their head coach and their GM, and they just benched Jimmy G. The Giants looked like crap this whole year.
I think the one thing for the Raiders is Max Crosby is going to obliterate that offensive line that the Giants have.
That's why I feel like I'm going to go with the Raiders. I'm going to go with the Raiders on this one. This is their bounce-back game. Max Crosby is still on the Raiders, unfortunately.
I feel like this one is another even matchup between the Raiders and Giants.
Yep. There are a lot of even matchups this week.
This has been a tough week for the upsets.
Oh, yeah.
Raiders are in a tough spot right now.
They are.
Especially after what happened to them after your Lions beat the Raiders, and it's a huge personnel change. I do like your take on the Giants. They've struggled most of the season, but I do like the fact that Danny Dimes is back. Saquon Barkley's been utilized a lot. I would say give me the G-men on this one. I think they're going to have a pretty good time against the Raiders and be able to capitalize on what's been going on in that organization.
Next up, we have Cowboys and Eagles. Ryan's got a grin the size of a small country on his face. Say it.
Ladies.
There it is.
And gentlemen, I finally got my upset of the week last week where the Bengals beat the Niners. I'm currently 1-3. But the Eagles look beatable.
They do.
Every game they look beatable. They're the most overrated team in the country.
Wow, what a claim.
The Cowboys. Yes. I'm sorry. I love the Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys. I'm going to dance. I'm going to run. Give me the Cowboys. I'm so confident with
That's
this
his team, ladies and gentlemen. That's his team.
They're my second favorite team. The Lions are America's team. Anthony, someone's calling you. But
I see that, but it looks spam to me, so I'm not going to answer that call.
But the Cowboys, the Eagles looked beatable last week and the week before and the week before and the week before. The Cowboys have Micah Parsons, and they have a great offensive line, but their quarterback sucks. Give me the Cowboys still.
I'm going Eagles. I don't like the Cowboys. Give me the Eagles.
This is another tough matchup. Cowboys and especially CeeDee Lamb went off last week.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb went off. Dak Prescott went off. I would say for this one, as much as I would love to go the Cowboys, I think the Eagles are going to kind of have a good look, good talk in the locker room about the game against the Commanders and how it really shouldn't have been that close. Give me the Eagles on this one.
Bills, Bengals. I'm going Bengals. They're on fire right now. I think they really put it together this season so far. Give me the Bengals.
Both teams are fired up right now. Give me the Bengals.
The Bengals look like legit Super Bowl contenders, as do the Bills, but I love how the Bengals are playing so far. Give me Cincinnati.
Chargers, Jets, Monday Night Football.
Chargers.
Another bad Monday Night Football game. Give me the Chargers.
How many points?
I'm going to say 35, 37 points.
I'm gonna go 28.
There it is. Michael, your pick?
I'm going to go Chargers here. How many total points will be scored? I'm going to go with total points.
So what both teams score?
Like combined.
I would say this might be a stretch, but I might be going 45 points
There it
here.
is. All right. So you're going to see a little bit of a 20s matchup almost if it's a close game. Hopefully it's a close game.
And my picks are locked.
My picks are locked as well. Sadly, that is all the time we have for today's show. What a fun one we had. Thank you, Michael, for joining us today. We gave Doug Mobley the day off. We hope you're doing good, Doug, if you are listening.
We love
Thank
you, Doug.
you for tuning in to episode 10 of Card Guys on 91.5 The Mountain, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Join us Monday when we discuss our Week 9 selections, discuss more Detroit sports, and go over some card news, as we haven't really talked about cards that much. And make sure to tune in Friday, as we have Count That Baby in a Foul, episode 5, coming your way Friday, 12 noon, right here, 91.5 The Mountain and YouTube. From my boy Ryan Donnelly and Michael Rosenkranz, I'm Anthony Schulte. So long, everybody.
Love you, Mom and Dad. Thanks for watching the game last night. I was very surprised it was on ESPN.